All right. Looks like we are streaming and we're live.
Yeah,
Awesome. Great. Thank you everyone for your patience, for waiting and bearing with us. We have some good stuff for you to see today. It's gonna be really great and packed with information. Um, very honored to have Balthazar Auxietre with us. Um, and he is the creator or sort of the co-founder of Innerspace VR and as well as creative director at Innerspace. And today he'll be talking about Maskmaker and their latest VR game releases. I'll let him give more of an intro, but just to intro myself, my name is Jaron Dorman, and I am the design community manager here at Gravity Sketch. And I basically connect with all of you out there in the community and highlight amazing creators like Balthazar that are using Gravity Sketch and doing just doing amazing things in VR. So, without further ado, I put it over to you, Balthazar, if you want to talk a little bit about your background, who you are, and yeah, what you've been working on.
cool. Thank you, Jaren, for the invitation. First, I'm happy to be here, being able to tell my story and how we've entered the magical world of creating stuff in VR. And yeah, playing with Gravity Sketch. So maybe I can give a bit of context about what we're doing and the studio. So Innerspace VR is a studio I co-founded in 2014 at the dawn of the VR, the new VR realm, when Oculus had just started to go mainstream with the Samsung Gear VR headset and also the acquisition by Facebook. I was personally into VR even a few years prior to that, because actually, even in school, I started experimenting with this technology for my graduation project. I was I had a I had a film course, so I was initially I was going to make movies, but I was really interested in the concept of interactive stories, and the, yeah, it's a long story, so I won't go into details. But one thing leading to another, it gave me the idea to use a VR headset to really put the users in the shoes of being a character in the story. I felt like it was the perfect device to do that. But even before Oculus, so in 2012, and the technology was not really ready yet. But it was really at in a shifting moment in time, and only a few years after starting to think about the VR medium and really starting to get a grasp about the potential of this new medium, this a completely new industry started to come up. So I was really excited, of course, beyond only the artistic potential that I was first interested of. I was really like enthralled by all the opportunities, and that what led us to create the studio, because we had the even if it was starting as more of a freelance passion project, the fact that more investment also came into this industry gave us the opportunity to make bigger projects and create the studio, hire more hire people, skilled engineers, etc., etc. So
Wow.
that's how the Innerspace studio to life. So it was around 2014 after, as I said, experimenting a few years with VR. And then we really evolved gradually along the VR industry and the different steps the technology took in the last few years, from the first Kickstarter with the DK1 and then the DK2 with the Samsung Gear, where we released our first really projects in the mainstream, and then after with the Vive, which was the first really six DOF headset
Right.
with controllers. And that's when we really got into getting more into like interactivity and how games could actually be a good medium also to tell stories, a good format to
Yeah.
tell stories in VR. So we did the first small project called Lapéry, which is a short narrative piece, and gradually we evolved until making a complete game, which is called A Fisherman's Tale, which we released in 2018 and got a few awards, and we were quite proud of the result. So yeah, it's this evolution I had from cinema to games, and it's really the VR medium that took me to do this journey into interactive and real-time territory.
Wow. What an amazing journey. And that's something I was thinking to myself as I was playing Maskmaker. I was reflecting. I was like, man, what an amazing way to experience a story and to be brought in through a narrative experience, because it really does have that, sort of, it just reels you in, into the experience. And we're seeing more and more, obviously, VR as this medium of storytelling. And I think we still have yet to discover even new ways of telling stories in VR. But
Definitely.
yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. But thank you so much for just being here today and giving us a little bit of a peek into the process. So
we won't talk about so much about narrative, but I think it's I mean, it's we will talk more about level designing
sure,
in VR, but we all know that environment can tell stories, and being able for even for like a writer maybe to think about how space could be designed when he or she think about the story, and maybe do some quick concepts with Gravity Sketch could be a good way to enter in the VR medium and start to really get your hands on without having a really a great like engineering skills.
Yeah, absolutely. So for everyone's information, Balthazar is going to go through a little bit of a slide presentation, and going into some of the development of the game Maskmaker. And then we are going to jump into VR and have a look at some Gravity Sketch scenes that were used to design some of the levels in the game. So it'll be really interesting, I think, to see some of that. But yeah.
Cool. So let's jump in.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and put it right in the chat right now if you like. Feel free to ask any questions, and we'll get to that towards the end. We can answer a few of those.
Of course, and if some questions are related to stuff I'm showing, I think we can definitely pause the presentation. It doesn't need to be really formal. It's just that I did this presentation for GDC recently, and I wanted to share as the slides were already done a bit of the process. I really like carved out step by step, and I think it could be quite informative for the community to understand our process with the tool.
Awesome.
So let me share my screen. Okay, does that work?
Just one moment. Looks like Zoom is having an issue.
Jaren?
Sorry. Can you still hear me, Balthazar?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, fine. I don't see you. Yeah.
As soon as you started sharing screen, Zoom just like crashed on me.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead and share screen again. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Let me try again. Does that work now?
Yes.
Is it working also when I do that?
Perfect. Yep. Let me just make sure it's coming through correctly on the stream. Yep. Looks great.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry about
Yes.
that, everyone. Zoom just like quit on me, just right like I couldn't control it. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll talk about Maskmaker and how because initially we did not intend to use Gravity Sketch from the start. But because the game we wanted to make was could be quite when we were in pre-production. Sorry, we were thinking about how we could create more extensive level designs in comparison to what we had done in the past with Fisherman's Tale, especially because our first game, Fisherman's Tale, is in the setting is really tight because it's in a small room and you're playing with scale, but the room doesn't change much, so the setting is really tight. But we wanted to explore something really different in our second game with Maskmaker and give the opportunity to the user to see really different kind of landscapes, explore different worlds, be in different atmospheres, and feeling, because with the VR headset, you are immersed, of course, in this world. You have a different feeling in each, and because the concept of the game is about masks that can propel you to these different worlds. Each mask is a kind of portal in a way to a different world. You can really quickly go from world to world. So with this concept in mind, we started to tinker and think about what could be the best way to create and design these different environments. So of course, as in every game development process, we started playing with concepts on 2D and also look for references to think about what could be the right direction for each level. And so I talk about the need of creating a large world and the need to have exploration as a key feature of the game. So we had to be smart in how the level were designed. And in VR, because you have also some constraints specific to this medium. For example, user can walk in their physical space, but also as soon as the virtual space is larger than the physical space, you have to either have a locomotion mode. So in Maskmaker, quite rapidly we decided to go for the standard options that were existing already, like in games like Half-Life Alyx. So the what we call the smooth locomotion and also the teleporting move. But we really have to design the level around this locomotion modes to be sure the exploration was smooth and really exciting throughout the whole level. So to actually design the levels, we thought rapidly that VR tools could be a great way to get the right feel really early, because as the output is VR, we wanted to find the right scale, the right tone, the right kind of path for the player. And I really discussed with the team to find a way, instead of using traditional like blocking with 3D softwares, how we could rapidly in VR get together and exchange files, scenes, iterate rapidly, and in VR. And this tool had to be also solid enough to be able to export assets, so we can use them eventually later in development. So one thing to know is that we are using Unreal for the development of all of our projects, including Maskmaker. Sorry for skipping some of the bullet points. I don't want to spend so much time. It's just to give you like a brief overview of the process we had. So in a way, the way I called this process is trying to find a level designer tool, which could be different things, but for us couldn't be other than being a VR tool. And in the different tools existing on the market, there were not so many options, and still are not so many options. And quite rapidly, after trying Quill, Tiltbrush, the usual suspects, we stumbled upon Gravity Sketch. And what was really exciting for me with Gravity Sketch was the opportunity to be able to do really solid concepts with some export tools that could enable the possibility of using some of the assets created in Gravity Sketch and really integrate them in our pipeline, in our Unreal pipeline. And what I like, because personally I don't have an experience in using the traditional 3D softwares like Blender or 3ds Max. I wanted personally to be able to be hands-on and create myself some of the stuff, but being able to do some polishing also on these assets that could eventually be used even in the final game eventually. And I thought that the tools offered by Gravity Sketch offer this right balance between being able to jump in and doodle pretty quickly and also do more refined modeling. So after getting our hands on the tool and also making the team excited about using Gravity Sketch, we started to play with it and think about what levels could be in the game. And even if I didn't really structure in my mind because it was the beginning of this exploration, when I look back at the process, I think it pretty nicely could be splitted into 3 main chunks of the development that fit pretty nicely to the different steps of the development of the game. So the prototype, the alpha, which is a rough pass on all the levels in blocking, and also the beta when you start to have more polished assets visually. And I call these phases in Gravity Sketch finding the right feel, finding the design, so the level designing more properly, and then building the actual levels still using Gravity Sketch to refine the puzzle placements and the puzzle design, the path of the player. I will go into a bit more details after that. So you have these 3 steps we kind of use unconsciously, but I think is a good framework to think about how anyone could use a Gravity Sketch or other VR tools to level design in VR. So I talked a bit about Maskmaker, but this is the trailer. It's pretty short, but it will give some visuals to the audience, and I invite you to check out the videos, the walkthroughs of the game, and if you own a VR headset, which I think probably some of you do.
There might be a few out there.
you can go to Steam or Oculus to check out the game. So as I said, the first step was finding the right feel for each of the levels. So we gathered some visual references. We placed them in the Gravity Sketch scenes. We roughly did some model. We play, of course, with scale, which is one of the great benefits of being in VR designing early. So I will go through more into details of how we design in Gravity Sketch a bit afterwards when we jump with Jaren into the scenes. But I will give you some step-by-step overview of each of the levels with this slideshow with a few screenshots we have for each steps. So this is the first level we started to design, which we call the Archipelago. In the game, it's called Balthazar Islands, which is a bit more poetic, but but it's a pretty simple concept that really is a continuity of the main mechanic, which is building masks in order to step into a part of a world. But the idea is you cannot zip through the level and go from A to B. Each part of the level is like a small island per se, is locked in like a zone, and you need to gather materials in order to make the next mask that enable the player to go onto the next island, then gather materials, and then you go to the next island, and then you progress until the final step of the level, which is this like giant tower, which is giving you a clear end goal for in each level. So the island level was a good way to actually test proof this concept, this game concept of having one character on each zone, and it's there's a clear it clearly shows the concept in the level design itself, because you all have these small enclosed islands. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
So each level, so the game is roughly 4 to 5 hours long, and it's split into like two big acts, with in each 3 levels. And each of the level has its counterpart in the second act. So the archipelago level has its counterpart level called the desert, which has a continuity in terms of mood, atmosphere, also type of the kind of puzzle you're doing, but is a much more complex level because you progressed through the game, you know more the mechanics, how the game works. So you want more challenge, and the level design is more challenging, and the puzzles that are in the levels too. The swamp is the second level of the first tier. I call them acts, but we call also them tiers. So the first tier, second level is the swamp. Its counterpart level in the second tier is the forest, which is more complex.
Wow.
So these are that's why I call them field, because it's really super simple shapes where we use without even thinking about optimization, we use the tools and just played with the with the shapes, almost like Play-Dohs, but at a giant scale.
Yeah, looks like you're using a little bit of volume tool there on the some of the geometry, like the green parts.
The volume?
Yeah, it looks kind of like the volume tool, sort of.
Maybe because we optimize them afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But it's the kind of sketch where we spent like 1 hour, and you're just it's a stream of consciousness. You just play with the thing, and we did several tries for each. And when we have the right feel, that was what we used for the next iteration. So the mountain is pretty straightforward. It's a mountain, but we'll go into the scene in Gravity Sketch, and you'll see how it's designed. It's a lot more intricate. That is the first really rough pass. And you'll see we really played with verticality in this level, and it's quite an interesting example of how we use the tool. Mine, which is the counterpart level, is also playing with verticality, but the opposite, the depth, because you really go into it's a little bit like the center of Earth, so you have to go in the cave to really activate something because there was like a trolley-like mechanism you have to activate. So you have to go deep inside the cave to reactivate this machinery. So we've seen quickly the 6 levels with just bare bones in intention. But what is interesting, I think, is rapidly we could, because we've been able to quickly also try the scene in Unreal and explore them at the right scale. We were able to iterate rapidly enough to give the right complementariness of each level. And I think if we hadn't used the gravity sketch, the levels could maybe not have been as complementary, as different, but still being cohesive. That was the challenge. Each level has a different challenge, has a different tone, but they need to make the feeling that they're part of the same world. So then we entered the second step. So roughly after like 1 or 2 months of prototyping, but we only spent a few days playing with Gravity Sketch because there was a ton of groundwork to do otherwise. And when we finished the prototyping phase, we came back to Gravity Sketch, trying to iterate more seriously on each level, and really block more in depth each of the levels by defining each zone where the characters with the masks could be, where each material could be located, what could be the proper path of the player. Instead of just finding the right feeling, it had to be interesting beyond the visual aspects. It had to be not too large, not too small in terms of navigation. It had to we had to be able to see the puzzles and understand what was the goal intended, etc., etc. And something I really loved, a feature of the you have right away, is these models you can puppeteer, and we really used this a lot to actually like role play, but when if we were playing with Legos or like a model in front of us and act like if the player could do that, and that was a good way to without any code, without any interaction, to feel the level in terms of what could be the actual walkthrough and path of the player. I will show also that a bit. And something we started to also to do is using the tool collaboratively, because I think 1 year, a bit more than 1 year ago, the co-creation tool was still in beta, or really closed beta, and rapidly I saw that being able to be in the same room and work together was something really, really useful, maybe essential. That's why I really started to knock at the door of the Gravity Sketch team to ask them about accessing the co-creation. I think all of you already know the benefits of this, because it's pretty instantaneous, and we'll see that with Jaren when we'll be together on the model. So I don't need to go too much into this. So what we're seeing now is the screenshots of each of the level after a few other iterations and importing the scene in Unreal. So what you're seeing right now is some of the assets are made other than in Gravity Sketch, but most of the level is still Gravity Sketch stuff, exported pretty much as it is in Unreal. So this is the archipelago level, the desert, the swamp which is a lot more confined, and the tower at the end of the level. The desert which has this kind of Ewoks in a Star Wars kind of mood.
Yeah.
The treetops, we also called it, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the mountain level with a different viewpoint, more from the below. This is the mine which has not evolved a lot. It was one of the most difficult level design to do.
Wow.
this is also some of the designs I personally made to inform either the modeling team or the engineering team to explain what I had in mind, either in terms of visual feeling or in terms of gameplay mechanic. It's so much easier to grasp a given like puzzle when you can actually step into it, show how it works, play with the different parts, move them around, and again, role play even in Gravity Sketch as a puzzle. So we use that a lot. This is also some concepts I did for the character based on rough 2D concepts inside Gravity Sketch. So for me, it was like discovering also the tool gradually. So I started to play with the more like the shaping tools. How do you call them? I don't remember the name of the tool, but to make like more like textile.
Subdivision or sub-D surfaces, primitives.
No, the curving tools, because otherwise we mostly were using the diamond. I don't know how you call it.
Oh, like are you talking about like the strokes, like the different stroke shapes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, you should find fancy names for each of these. And this is the example of even like a puzzle design. Sometimes it to grasp some of the most sophisticated logical issues we were facing. It was more easier to actually build them in Gravity Sketch, being in the space, like activate some part of your brain. And personally, as someone who is not an engineer and not really a logical person, it really helps me to design puzzles. So after this design phase, we were roughly at the end of the alpha. And started to enter the beta level where everything is starting to freeze. We're a lot more sure about where we will gonna put the puzzles, how they will look, what is the story, etc., etc. So this is, but I still thought that Gravity Sketch could be useful to fine-tune the levels, and we use them. We use the tool until pretty late in development. Sorry. So this is an example of puzzle design I did, and as I was personally more used to with more skilled with the tool, I was able to do more like sophisticated puzzle design with a good intention on the visual side also. And because you have this quite expensive export tools, and I think when I look at the screenshot, I think it has already evolved quite a bit in terms of options you have now in the exporting tool. I think it's very complete. So we use that a lot to import our assets into Unreal for the final levels. So what you're seeing right now is the levels in a beta stage. So it's not a final, but it's close to final. This is the islands level. This is the desert level that will show a bit later, which is probably the more complex one.
Wow.
The swamp has also evolved quite a lot with these giant like roots above you. It's quite cool to be there in VR. And the forest biome which had quite like a joyful mood, became a bit more creepy because you had this this parasite, like a giant mushroom, attacking the trees. And as a player, the goal was to mostly destroy the parasite by going at different areas and synchronize different characters in the level to destroy the parasite. This is the mountain level. We'll jump into this one, which is pretty archetypal for the process we used. And the mine, which has came to fruition, and which is centered around this giant furnace you have to activate at the bottom, but you have to again synchronize different characters and do a little bit like a character has to put some wood into a trolley, and then another character grab this wood and put it into the furnace. So you have to role play different characters pretty rapidly to activate the furnace, and then the whole level changes. Cette vidéo n'existe pas. Let me check. So I think this is more or less the end of. So I was giving here some of like a summary of the pros and cons of the process, but I don't think it's really useful. I just wanted to maybe show the small video I had done showing all the levels in a quick reel before going into Gravity Sketch. But I need to find the to find the link. The video, the link is broken in the presentation.
No worries.
Give me a second. Meanwhile, if someone has a question,
yeah,
already.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if anybody's got any questions, it's a great time. If you want to shoot something through the chat, I can take a look and we can ask Balthazar to answer that for you. But I'll just say right off the bat, I'm just amazed at the process, and it makes so much sense from a creative standpoint, especially if you're making something for VR, to design it in VR. And when you were talking about role playing some of the stages, I mean, how cool to be able to actually write in real time, solve some of these role playing things of the game in real time before you even make the the final sort of game logic or the game mechanics.
I would say for a VR game, it's almost like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And I think it will gradually more and more VR creators and game makers thinking about VR will, I think, obviously think about using these VR tools to design right away in VR, because it almost, I think people will almost laugh maybe in a few years when they think about how we actually build the games right now in VR, because it in some ways it feels like a bit stiff and not really adapted to the medium.
Yeah. I
Let me show you the video, but we can continue to discuss meanwhile.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So yeah, this is showing in a more nice way the process I was talking about with the different steps. The frame rate is good enough on your end?
Yeah, it looks great actually. Yeah.
Okay. This is a role play I was talking about.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is me and Fabrice, the level designer of the team. Actually, I'm talking about level design, but I'm not the main guy here at Innerspace. This is Fabrice, who with the level designer, but he is too shy to talk about this. So we spent hours and hours playing in Gravity Sketch together. It was really quite a joyful process.
Wow, that is just amazing. And you said Unreal Engine is the game engine used for the final product.
Yeah, and I'm showing right now like back-to-back Gravity Sketch in their final state in Gravity Sketch and Unreal. So that is the swamp, the forest level.
Wow.
The forest in the final Unreal stage, the mountain that we'll see in a bit, the Gravity Sketch scene, which we'll jump into, the mine.
Wow.
Et voilà.
Bravo. That's amazing. That's beautiful. That is it's just amazing to see like the amount of granularity and the scale things, and we're also going to see that when we jump in VR, just the amount of scale that you can get down into, you know, at the smallest level, and then at the grandest level you can see just like everything, how it all ties together. And I can totally relate to what you were saying earlier about, you know, not having maybe as much experience with like, you know, game mechanics, 3D tools, that kind of thing, but Gravity Sketch just kind of makes it make sense, you know, because it's just like very hands-on.
Yeah, it's like when you're playing with toys when you're a kid. So it really opens your mind.
Yeah.
So it's really unfolded the inner child in me. Something you cannot really tap into, I think, in like a screen. I would say traditional screen softwares.
Yeah.
We do have at least in my point of view.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, we do have a question here from Linus Potter. He says, he asks, was it easy to transition from Gravity Sketch to the other programs due to the complexity of your models in Gravity Sketch? So, like, how was that process going from Gravity Sketch to like Unreal Engine and the other tools that you moved into?
It was quite a learning curve because at the beginning we were not aware of all the, of course, all the subtleties you add in Gravity Sketch, for example, to use low poly mode or some of the other stuff. And we were using like high poly tools and then exporting in Unreal, and it was pretty bad in terms of frame rate because there were millions of polygons.
Yeah.
So because we were discovering the process, at first it was a bit naive, but gradually, as we understood more the options, our exports toward Unreal became more useful and more optimized. But the thing is, even if you can go pretty far into modeling, I still think it cannot compete with the sophistication you have with softwares, traditional softwares like Blender.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the purpose, or at least that's not the purpose I see in Gravity Sketch. I think it's more a prototyping tool. It's more creative thinking tool. Eventually, you can go a little bit further and use the levels or up until a certain point, like we did. But when you, especially in VR, you need to start to hit frame rate, and some platforms like Quest or PSVR are pretty obnoxious about hitting frame rate. Then even if we had make a lot of efforts into Gravity Sketch, we had to go back fine-tuning the models, maybe sometimes redoing from the start, because fundamentally the tools to make the perfect optimization were not there.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's going to be interesting for us, I think, too, and this is why we love getting feedback, because we want to, where necessary, where possible, optimize for some of these workflows. So that's why it's good to have these conversations, and we love seeing like these different workflows and the way people use the tool to see if there's areas where Gravity Sketch can improve as well. But also, I do know a little bit about the pipeline, and it is just kind of complicated as well, just the way things are at the moment. I think there's also a lot of innovation happening in game engine tools too. So I'm sure one day that'll be even more streamlined for creatives to use them.
Sure.
But
I think there will be more tools, and it could be also overwhelming. But I think there will be options to make things for beginners too. I hope.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for answering that. Definitely an eye into maybe if there's anybody out there watching, they're thinking about using Gravity Sketch for sort of a game design pipeline. It's definitely an eye into that. And to your point earlier, I mean, that's exactly what we say about Gravity Sketch. It's definitely not meant to be a replacement for any of these other 3D creation tools. You've used it pretty much exactly the way that we've designed it to be used, which is to just get your ideas out there and play with, how they can be, how they can manifest in the final result. The role playing, building the mountains, building all these things, just kind of get it out of your mind and into 3D space, and then you can basically solve problems in real time.
Yeah.
Do you want to just go ahead and jump into VR?
Yeah, sure. Give me a second so I can switch the system.
Yep.
And
no problem.
And let's see each other in the virtual world.
All right. I will go ahead and switch the feed over. Okay. So we'll go ahead and wait for Balthazar, but I'm already...
You are in the mountain, so I saw you.
Yes.
Let me load the level. I'm not in the... I don't have the best hardware in the in the studio, so it's sometimes a bit slow.
No worries. Let me get my chat up here so I can see. Yeah, if anybody has any questions at all, feel free to ask. Balthazar is happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions related to Gravity Sketch. But yeah, we are in... Which level is this? So I haven't gotten this far in the game. So what part of the game is this this level?
So it's the mountain level in the first tier, the first act. So I would say it's one of the most for us it's one of the most iconic, because when we started to think about the game beyond the archipelago, the islands level, which was quite a good use case for testing the gameplay, we wanted to do this mountain level and play with verticality and make an impressive setting. I think that's probably the first scenes we made, and also the one which we iterated upon the most. And it's probably also one of the most complex in terms of number of assets and layers, etc.
Yeah, I see. There's definitely a lot of stuff in here.
So when you go into details, some of the stuff is still really, really placeholder, like the the trees, because the intention was not to design trees here, because we knew what the look of these trees could be. So it's just the intention here. But some of the stuff, especially the rocks, so the terrain, and the mountains themselves are really what we use in the final game. So we exported those peaks, those mountain peaks, and polished them in Blender or 3ds Max. To import them afterwards. So the design will be really close to this. Of course, it lacks the fog. Right now, you're seeing all the peaks at once. But when you're in the game, there is a pretty thick fog. So you discover the level gradually, peak by peak.
Yeah.
Because as I said. Each peak is a small island. You cannot go to the next one without solving the puzzles, finding the right materials to build the next mask. So maybe we can walk through the level, so I can show you a bit.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
How it works. It's the first time I'm doing this, so it's
no worries.
Improvisation. Okay, so what you can see with the red arrows already is the steps, how we in which order you make them, but it's also pretty straightforward when you look at the level. The tower, as I said, is the end goal, but you cannot go there directly, even if there is a kind of arc here, because it's blocked. So you enter the level in this small house. Something I want to say also is we were really inspired by Himalayan landscape, or from Nepal, which is absolutely astounding in terms of heights and feel of scale. So we wanted to convey that feeling you have in these real world places.
Wow.
And some of the architecture is also inspired a bit by some of these real places. So you start into this small little hut, so you can see me. And there you have like so it's not furnished, because we didn't go so much into the details, and we did that in Unreal. But in terms of feeling, and even like the perspective you have from this very house, you will feel that is really similar in the game. So you have a mirror here, because when you put the mask, you realize that you are in a different body than when you were before. So
right.
you appear in this new body, in this new world, and something we made in each level is placing almost in front of you a mirror like this that you see. So you're able to understand what kind of character you're in, and what kind of mask also, because that's the most important thing, the mask you see in the mirror. And afterwards, you discover the landscape, and you realize that you are at the top of a mountain with lots of winds. So it's pretty cool. And quite rapidly, you stumble upon the first puzzle, which is this windmill. I've shown some screenshots of design I made in Gravity Sketch of the windmill puzzle, but it is not included here because it was in a different Gravity Sketch scene. But anyways, the idea is you enter in this windmill and you realize that it's broken. So it's pretty straightforward. You need to repair it. But why? Why? Because this windmill, it's not really well shown here, but this windmill is directly connected to this kind of gondola system.
Yeah.
And when the windmill turns, the gondola turns. But because it is broken, it cannot turn. And you also see, we place this little dude here in this gondola, and you can only go there and realize that this guy is stuck here in the middle of the gondola. So not only you have to make his mask, and you have materials you will be able to gather here, but you also need to reactivate the gondola so you can then traverse the the gap. I don't remember the name in English. How do you say this huge gap?
Gap, I would say.
And go to the other side. And that is the first puzzle of this level. But real quick, I can show you where you gather the materials to make this character. This is on the top of this cliff, of this peak, sorry. So you have to pass in front of the windmill and explore this peak and go on until very the highest point. And there you find like a small nest where there is a feather inside, and you grab this feather, and this is the item you need to make the mask of this character, because he has feathers on his mask.
Yeah, so you're giving away secrets how to get to the game.
Yeah. I won't spoil everything. At least the beginning, especially because you don't really see the material. So
yeah,
I need to tell them.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love it.
So then when you've been able to make this character's mask, so you can go to the other side and start to explore this second area, which is more a bit larger, and also we call it the village, basically, because here you only have one small hut, but here you have the whole village, and again it's inspired by these villages in the mountains that are really organically placed inside or really around the rock almost. So you explore the village, you have some materials, and it opens also here a lot, so it can be a bit overwhelming, but it's also to create challenge. You discover that you can go down at a different level of this same area, but you also discover that you have another character here in front of the tower, but you cannot make his mask because this is the most complex one. So you understand that maybe you need to go through a different path. So you go down, explore more of the village, and then you stumble upon another puzzle here with the windmill, but this time in a slightly different way, because this is not a gondola like horizontally, but more of an elevator, in more of an elevator way. So I won't give the solution, but basically you jump to this other character, to this gondola. You go down, and then you are in one of these areas where the whole area is a puzzle in a way, because it's like more islands, but in more like a granular way. You have this like small like pastures where character, which we could see if maybe I have not activated all the levels, I think. Sorry. So now you you also see some of the reference we were using when I was telling about them. But let's so yeah, you see our reference we were using. So actually,
Wow.
the gameplay layer is activated. It's just that I remember I remember there was a placeholder for the we call this creature the billy goat, and the billy goat is like a mix between actually a goat and a cow, a small cow. It's very cute, and it's kind of stuck here in this island at the outer reach of this part of the level. Let me draw this little guy real quick. So it's here waiting for you, but the thing is, the path is blocked, and it has to reach his family, which is at the other side of the zone. So you have to help the little billy goat to make his path a little bit like you yourself as a player. But now you have a companion, and you have to help him make his way before you. To go to the other side, and then you discover that there is a weaving like station, and in the little creature, thankful of you helping it going through is the right way, and finding back his family, give you his really strong fur and silky like fur, and you can make the mask of the next character, which is on this last peak, and then you have so these statues I haven't explained, but they are scattered across each level, and some of the characters have to go in front of the statues and make some gestures, and if you make the right gesture, the statue activates, and when you activate them, you can open the I'm spoiling a bit here, but anyways, you can go to the last part. I won't go into too much details, but anyways, doing something with the statues will enable you to go to the end of the level.
Wow.
And the cool thing, so I was talking about role playing with the statues. It was really easy because we could just play with a scale, find the right one for the statue, and even like find the right do the pose we wanted to do with the statue, like this, and it conveys the right feeling already of having this player, this character player, being there in front of the statue, and doing the same thing. And we can play with this guy and act like he's doing the gestures. The ICA system could be improved, I need to say, but it's really really useful already.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, this is basically the walkthrough of the mountain level.
This is just amazing to be in here experiencing the level and sort of the logic and thinking that went behind it. How do you start a level like this? I mean, in the beginning, obviously you're working off of inspiration images, you have some sketches. When you're starting to build it in Gravity Sketch, do you start with like, I don't know, maybe the rocks first and then do you kind of start to think, okay, maybe we want to have a move from this platform to this platform, so you start to build out maybe the secondary details where you want things to be located? Like, where's sort of the steps of the actually creating the geometry and thinking through how the player is going to navigate through the space?
It's really like it's what I tried to convey in the presentation, but in quite a high level. It's finding the right feel first. So maybe we add done this kind of this valley kind of feeling you have, and these really high peaks among it. It's something we had found pretty rapidly, and also giving the right feeling in terms of how these peaks overall could look. And then when we had find the right feel, it was coming back to the game design on paper, start to think about what puzzle we could have in this level, and for example emerged this idea of playing, because we were in a valley. We wanted to make a valley because in Gravity Sketch that's the idea that came. And then because we had the idea of a valley, of course the windmill, because the wind passes through the valley. So it gave us the idea of making a puzzle with the windmill. And then we came back to Gravity Sketch, where this windmill could be placed, what could be the distance between this spot and this spot, and iteration by iteration, it evolved. But it's only until the blocking of the overall path of the player and where the puzzles could be located had been locked or almost locked, that we came back to remodel in Gravity Sketch to find the proper look for each of the rocks, so it looks better. But honestly, because we had so much ground to cover, we couldn't go too much into detail and spend too much time on each rock. That's the limit of any given project, and especially in game development, where usually the deadlines are pretty tight. So we did our best to polish so mostly the rocks, because we knew that that was what was going to stay between until the very end, between the Gravity Sketch session and the game, because all the other assets, at a certain point, it was more efficient to move to 3D software as soon as the level design has been blocked, and we knew that we needed some trees, some etc. And because it was mostly me and Fabrice, the level designer, who handled the Gravity Sketch, at a certain point it was more efficient to jump directly for the modeling team, instead of learning them Gravity Sketch, show them the concept of the level, and then they could pick any assets that was needed, and they could start to work.
Wow. Yeah, I remember you talking about that in the beginning, the sort of the feel, of the level first, getting that feel right, and then you can get all the details worked out after that.
So the feeling was playing a lot with verticality and create a feeling of fragility, almost like spines. So we try to play visually with with how the rocks were designed, by giving them this feeling of really like something really. For example, this is a good example of a given asset. It's not really sophisticated, but it conveys a good feeling that a modeler can use to then make a more clean and detailed with texture assets. But the thing that is really cool is when you can go there. For example, we are in after the end of the puzzle with the baby goat, and we can really see the whole level at a proper scale, and see the right points of interest. Like the tower is there. We have finished this puzzle. We know we are at a certain stage of this level, and it feels right in terms of level design. And this is something we really iterated upon Pretty Late, until Pretty Late, and Gravity Sketch was really super useful, because you have the possibility of being there, and even with the banana tool, which we used, you can also teleport yourself like in the final game.
Yeah, that's what I was. When you were explaining some things earlier, I was actually just kind of teleporting myself like I was in the game, and it's basically giving you a similar experience to, like you said there, just kind of like it's giving you almost like a little preview of what it'll be like.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So it was really useful.
Yeah, that you really did convey that precariousness that you were talking about. You know, this sort of the fragility of these things sitting on these little spires, just like your reference here. Like it's got it really. I think it all like.
We wanted to give the feeling of vertigo.
Yes.
But not too much. Something that gives the impression that you're almost walking on air a bit.
Yeah, yeah. It's got a very fantastical feeling to it, and it's amazing because the reference material is real.
Yeah, when you see
world.
them, it's almost unreal. But
yeah, it's very surreal.
That's how a real world can be fantastic sometimes.
Yeah. Wow.
Maybe we can jump to another level, which is from the second tier and a bit more complex.
Sure.
Unless there is question about this level.
It doesn't look like it doesn't look like we have any questions yet. But so we can go ahead and move on to the next one. Which room what will it be called?
It's a desert one.
Desert. Okay. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. We are happy to answer. Balthazar is happy to answer any questions about the process, creating in VR, maybe questions about the game design process. I do have a question myself, but I'll wait till we get into the room here.
Okay, maybe we can change the skybox.
Yeah. You can do it yourself, Balthazar, or
okay.
Yeah, you can give it to me. You can give it to me if you want.
I give you the crown.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give you the crown.
Oh, great! Thanks. Okay.
I know you like to be crowned.
Okay.
Let's find the proper tone for this desert.
Yeah, maybe it's.
It's a pretty like high peak. No, it's not. This one is cool actually, but it's pretty like how do you say high rise, or when the sun is really at the zenith. But this is pretty cool actually.
Yeah, it's kind of stylistic.
More Tatooine like, but
yeah. No, what color would you like it to be?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
As long as we, it's not because this level is a lot more dense in terms of the level design. It's more packed. Being able to see the relief, the depth, and the different stones. But I think it's fine. Yeah, maybe a little bit like, but yeah, you switched off the ambient occlusion or something. Ambient occlusion, you can switch off.
Let's see.
I think it's better without this. Yeah, I think it's better. We see more. I think the.
So you're saying no shadows.
No shadows, no shadows. Yeah, shadows
Okay.
give this a little bit of a blurry effect. I think
Okay.
it's cooler visually, but to see the level design, I think it's better.
Yeah. Okay. All righty.
Okay. So as we can see, this level doesn't have the same like clarity we've seen in the mountain where you add these really like clear zones, one for each peak. Because we went further into the game, it's more complex, it's more tight, it's more intricated between the different zones and characters. So here we are more playing with different characters who have to cooperate. But because it's a single player game, obviously, you have to jump from one character to the other and make them cooperate asynchronously.
Wow.
So this level is a good example of how we tried to create puzzles and overall level design challenge with this idea in mind. So the first part is pretty straightforward. You have this, you come from the tower this time, and because the tower is like a frontier, you have to cross between the first tier and the second tier. So you come from the tower, you have this little walk, nice walk where you discover the level, and you face a first door, which has a kind of balance like a system.
Yeah, wow.
And this is a really, really simple puzzle where you just have to find a piece missing, plug it, and open the door, and then you can pass through and enter the village, which is just afterwards. But we wanted to have a first simple step to understand the main logical step that will be used afterwards in the puzzle, because it's a labyrinth made of these doors, of this kind of balanced system.
Yeah.
And the thing here, so so it's a smaller village, but it's still like a bit similar than in the mountain. You have this village in the rocks kind of feeling, but it's not so much, the emphasis is not so much the village, because rapidly you discover that you have this kind of maze beneath you, and it's empty of water. So I will just move out the water. When you discover it, it's you have no water. It's completely dried out, and you also see that there is a kind of oasis in the away in the distance.
Yeah.
But the tree is without leaves. It's a giant tree. It's not a palm tree like here, but it's a giant tree, like more of a baobab, without its leaves. So usually players understand pretty quickly that they have to create a path from the water that is stored behind these gates of the village, and make the water flow inside the labyrinth to go into the oasis. This is just the objective of the overall objective of the level I'm giving. But then you realize that to do that, there are a lot of steps, and you have to coordinate characters to do that. And there is a centerpiece of the level, which is the maze. But you have different characters. One is on the left aisle of the, we call it an aisle, with this skeleton. So you have a character that is trapped here. You have a character that is kind of trapped here also, more in this kind of dunes.
um, and you have to progress with each of these character, and then they have to join here at the gates and coordinate them in order to first get the water into the maze, and then you have to play with the doors in a certain way, in a certain order, so the water can flow and then go into the river, and afterwards you can use a boat and go find the last piece of the puzzle, which is the material you need for a given mask, which is the last mask
Wow.
of this level.
Wow. I'm just amazed.
What we really like about this level is that the gameplay, the level design, and the overall atmosphere, all is really like intricated and is are going in the same direction to create. I hope what is a challenging but really compelling, ultimately, experience and walkthrough, and the satisfaction of going into that oasis with the tree, with the leaves that are growing back because of the water is pretty satisfying. So the whole level is a giant big puzzle in a way.
Yeah, it's a 3D puzzle with characters involved, and that's really interesting. Pulling in the different characters to coordinate with to get something done. It's not just yourself you're working with, and that's really cool. Yeah.
Anyways, I don't want to give the solution, and no, guys, this is not the right solution.
Don't pay attention to the arrows.
I will a bit put some mess here so people don't see the. Well, no, but I don't think that was the solution. But
we
yes.
do have another sort of workflow related question here.
Yeah.
They're asking, did you use a link to transfer info from Gravity Sketch to another program? I guess I'm assuming they're asking how you moved Gravity Sketch information to another program. I guess we could both answer that question, but you'd be better suited as to specifically what maybe file types you exported out of Gravity Sketch.
No, you can go ahead, because we didn't do anything really specific. It was
okay.
Mostly using the export tools.
Yeah. Basically, what I would say there is we've got export tools in Gravity Sketch, and you can see them here on my menu. If you go to Save and you click on the Export button, you'll see a couple options here. You'll see OBJ, FBX, and IGES files. If you're working with this type of pipeline, with like a game development pipeline, likely you're going to use either OBJ or FBX, most likely. And then you can click the advanced options here, and you have more buttons available to you, whether you want to export the low poly version of your geometry or the fully subdivided version. You have a couple of options here. But this is the way that you would export data out of Gravity Sketch into, you could either do it locally, or if you're using like a Quest or a tetherless headset, you can do it the cloud option, and basically you just log into your landing pad account and you'll have the file in your file system there, and then you can download that on your computer. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I think that was from Addo. That was who asked that. But yeah, is that pretty much what you guys did? You just used FBX, OBJ, and brought it into Unity, exactly, or Blender, things like that?
So we keep for a quick view into Unreal, we keep the same, we keep the color we had put in Gravity Sketch to see how it reacts with the other assets. And then if we are satisfied, if we are not satisfied, we go back to the drawing board, tweak things in Gravity Sketch, change the size of the asset, the data points, etc.,
Right.
etc. And then when we are satisfied, we export either in FBX or OBJ, and usually it goes into either 3ds Max, Blender, or Maya, and we do the final like polishing phase where we optimize, do the texturing, other polishing needs. But in terms of the overall shape and the silhouette of the level, you'll see it will be really similar to what we see here, especially because a lot of the level visually is made by the rocks,
Right.
The height of the terrain, which is something we really fine-tuned already in pretty detail in Gravity Sketch.
Yeah.
In comparison to like gameplay assets, or really assets like the houses, that could be done more traditionally, because we didn't need to cover a lot of ground. We could have a nice 2D concepts, and modelers could go with that. But when you have to build a whole level, that's when being able to rapidly move things around, move rocks with the tip of the finger is what you need.
Wow.
And being there.
Yeah.
In the scene.
Yeah, great question, Otto, and yeah, thank you for delving into that in detail there, Balthazar. Yeah, do you have any reference images for this environment?
Let me check. Not sure. Let me
it's
check
okay if not. I was just curious.
Layers. I don't think I have actually. This level was less oriented by references and more by the puzzle design. As I said, the gameplay, the concept of having this maze, and that's not something we found in real world as it is.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that these are two good examples of two different, very different levels we had in the game, and how we used Gravity Sketch to both conceptualize the level, creatively speaking, but also do even some modeling, like the rock stuff we used in the final game.
Wow, this is just amazing. I'm now looking from the island perspective all the way out. It's really cool.
This is This is the vision you have from the final step.
Wow.
With the tower, it's a little bit inspired by Journey. At least the idea of having a really clear like point of interest far in the distance. You know you have to go.
Yeah.
This is a really useful game design trick.
Well, Balthazar, I'm just amazed, and you and the team have done some just incredible work, and it's just really fascinating to see how you use Gravity Sketch and all the tools available to you to convey this really interesting story. Definitely recommend everyone out there watching to go and if you got a VR headset, go download Maskmaker, start playing it. It's really fun and really interesting. Just kind of, to me, it just pulled me right into the story as soon as I was in it. I'm kind of a sucker for stories and movies anyway, so I'm already invested right off the bat. But yeah, it's a great game, and highly recommend everyone to go out there and download it and try it out. Let's hop out of VR real quick before we close here. Just give me 1 sec.
I need to switch to other headphones. Give me a second.
No worries.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay,
you
cool.
sound great. All right.
Et voilà, we have
Wow.
done the quick walkthrough into our levels. A sneak peek
Yeah, it was.
behind the scenes.
I wish more of the community could experience some of these things. I mean, obviously, you can try building some of these things yourself, as well. A lot of people out there are already have Gravity Sketch, so maybe let this be an inspiration to you as to some things you can try yourself. If there's a story you want to tell, and want others to experience it as well. Balthazar, I have one last question. I ask a lot of the guests that come on. Is there any advice that you'd like to give anybody watching that wants to pursue maybe this line of work, storytelling, game design, any anything I guess that has to do with really game development? Do you have any advice you'd like to give them?
Wow. One single advice is always difficult to say, but I would say maybe two things. One very obvious, but I need to say it anyway, is you need to really latch on to your dreams. I think it's really important to persevere in the creative world because it's really difficult to make people enter in your world unless you have something to show to them that is already compelling. So you have to usually to find the force in yourself to without even asking sometimes from help from others, and that requires a lot of tenacity. So I would say, if you have a need for telling a story, especially in these new mediums like VR that are really new and you have a lot of things to discover. Don't discourage yourself after the first attempt, because it's normal to fail. Before we did before the small success we had with Fisherman's Tale, for example, I did many VR projects before that are still quite unknown. So that would be the first advice, and the second one is more related to today's discussion. Is that we have the tools right now to start creating. So there should not be there is less barriers. It's not really expensive today to especially with a Quest, for example, to start doing stuff with Gravity Sketch, which is free. And I'm not here to advertise the tool, but I think it's really affordable to start tinkering and playing with the medium. And you can, as I hope I have shown, you can go quite far in terms of conceptualizing some of ideas, and then maybe think about having other people enter in your project, either to fund or to help making it.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Don't be afraid to. There's no reason now in the world to avoid making stuff, because you have the tools at your disposal.
Awesome. Well, great, motivating and encouraging words from Balthazar. It's great. Gravity Sketch is free. If you don't have it, go download it and use it. And in general, to what Balthazar said, persevere and just get out there and don't be afraid of failure. And I just want to thank you again, Balthazar. Thank you so much for your time. It's really,
Thank
really
you
cool.
for inviting me. It was fun.
Yeah, I'm happy you're able to join. And I thank everyone else out there for joining. Hope you learned something and got a little bit more of a peek into this world. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone and make sure to sort of keep in touch with us or follow us. We'll be doing more of these interviews. And so, yeah, if there's anything else that you want people to pay attention to, Balthazar, that you have coming up or anything you want people to watch for?
I think we've talked a lot about Maskmaker already, so
Yeah.
I think it's enough.
Sure.
Check out the game if you're curious.
Yeah, go check it out. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Balthazar.
Bye-bye.
And have a great rest of your